itself has a quite relevance when we talk about democratizing AI. We do understand the whole summit when it talks about AI, the importance comes in how it reaches to the people or to the unreached, how we can have them, the AI available to every one of us. So there are multiple aspects of it. It's just not technology. It's just not, we will say it's a technical thing which needs to be changed. It includes governance, capacity building, infrastructure, multiple things. So that's what the session is going to focus on. Whether we are talking about, I would say, how to make the sustainable AI deployment affordable, the cost of ownership, reach, bridging the skill gap. So we have a stellar panel which is there, the people who have joined us today. And since it is the part of a global AI summit, we do understand the value it carries in across India as well as globally in terms of people watching it. So we really look forward to intense discussions, I would say, with a kind of a panel across different stakeholder groups which has been framed up. So thank you, Mahviji, for joining us today. I would now request the distinguished panel to kindly join me. We have with us Additional Secretary, New Emerging and Strategic Technologies within the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Mahavir Singhviji. Sir, can I request you to join us on the stage, please? And the panelists for the session would be Mr. Sandeep Saxena, Chief Growth Officer, India, MEA, France, Iberia, Italy, from the SCL Tech. Mr. Sharat Bulusu, Senior Director, Google Pay India. Mr. Somer Fukan, Director, Head Customer and Partner Engineering, Intel India. Mr. Praveen Das, Lead Partnerships Manager, South Asia, Wikimedia Foundation. Ms. Rajita Kulkarni, President, Sri Sri University. And the session is being moderated by Mr. Brad Staples, CEO of APCO. Can I have a round of applause for the panelists, please? Thank you. Can I request the people, it's a permanent seating which has been there for the hall for everyone. I think the previous hall remanded this kind of a seating. Can I request everyone to please move a little forward so that it's easier for anybody who comes in a little later to be there? So please take the seats. I think front line would be better. And also, can I request the speakers, I think that's a requirement from the organizer side, to kindly have a group photograph first, because it's a real-time photograph which is being given as mementos after the session. So they would need the photograph first before we go ahead with the session. So can I request everyone to please step ahead? And can we have a group photograph, please? So now we proceed with the session. Mahaviji, we would like to start off with your special address. I have just mentioned that while you were walking inside, the democratizing AI is just not about, we just talk about technology. It's much beyond, whether you talk about governance, capacity building, or anything which is more related to reaching to the unreached. And India, it's a specific example, whether you talk about multilingual diversity or you talk about the divide we would have between rural and urban so far in terms of the reach. While we talk about 900 million internet subscribers, still a lot needs to be done in terms of the availability and things being available. We know how UPI has made a revolution for us, which is being talked about a lot. We proudly say about 12 billion UPI transactions every month, but there's still a long leap to take in. Democratizing is empowering everyone, getting the AI affordable, available for everyone. Keeping in mind the situation of each and every country. And India being talked about, a leader, being a leader for the global south, how we can work on that area, how we can develop that area, how India can also make the solutions and also export the solutions. So over to you, Mahaviji, for your special address. So your comfort zone, please.
Thank Thank you, Vicky, for inviting me to speak in this session on democratization of AI. I think you have already mentioned a lot of things in your remarks. So maybe I'll be very brief on what I need to say and what I'm going to say. But yes, democratization of AI is an extremely important subject given the context in which we have assembled here today. When we talk about AI, I think it is very important that AI reaches to everyone. So it is, in fact, a truly humbling, I would say, kind of experience for me to stand before such a distinguished panel and also the minds who are shaping the future of this country and perhaps the future of the humanity and the world in the times to come. So when we speak about artificial intelligence today, I think we often tend to speak in the language of scale, disruption, and the global geopolitical competition. Yet, I would like to begin with a simpler question, and that is, and I invite all of you to also reflect on that with me, that who is AI really for? Is it for those is it for those with access to vast computing power and proprietary data sets? Or is it for the large corporations building frontier models? Or can AI become a public resource, something that empowers a farmer in Bundelkhand, or a school teacher in Northeast, or a small entrepreneur in Coimbatore, and a community health worker in rural Rajasthan? So friends, in my view, if AI is to shape the future of the humanity, then the answer must be very clear, that it must work for everyone, and that's what the host from the FICCI said in her remarks. And this perhaps brings me to the core theme of today's session, which is democratizing AI resources and building an inclusive AI solutions for India. And before we explore how to do this, I think we need to pause and think and ask ourselves, why is there such an urgency around democratizing AI? And the answer is that, to my understanding, urgency exists because AI is fast becoming the new infrastructure of economic growth, governance, and social transformation. And just if you look at the history, just as electricity powered the industrial age and the internet provided and powered the information age, I think the AI will power the intelligence age. And if access to this intelligent infrastructure remains concentrated in few hands, inequalities will widen between nations, between regions, and between citizens. So, ladies and gentlemen, the real question before us is this: do we want AI to amplify privileges, or do we want it to expand opportunities for all? And for a country like India, the answer is self-evident. Our development story has always been about scale with inclusion. We cannot build AI and AI future that leaves behind our linguistic diversity, our small enterprises, our farmers, our informal workforce, or our students in the government schools. And therefore, to my mind, democratizing AI is not merely a technological choice. It is also a developmental imperative, particularly for the global south in a country like India. So this now, I think, leads us to the next logical question: what does democratization of AI truly mean in practice? And to my mind, as I say, it means affordable access to compute power and cloud infrastructure. It means open and representative data sets that reflect India's diversity. It also means tools and platforms that could perhaps be used in the Indian languages. It also means skilling and reskilling our workforces. It means enabling startups, researchers, and public institutions to innovate without prohibitive barriers. And most importantly, to my mind, it means designing AI solutions that solve real societal challenges at scale. And friends, in many ways, India is uniquely positioned to lead this effort, and we are doing a lot of things in this direction. We have already demonstrated how digital public infrastructure can democratize access. You all know about it. You all know that how Aadhaar gave identity to over 1.4 billion people. UPI revolutionized digital payments and empowered small merchants. CoWIN, as you all know, enabled the world's largest vaccination drive. And these were not just merely technological platforms. They were instruments of inclusion. All of these empowered, to some extent, inclusion at scale. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are extending this philosophy into the AI era. How we are doing it? I think we are doing it through AI mission, India AI mission, as you all know. Through that, the government is working to create shared AI compute infrastructure so that startups, academic institutions, and innovators are not locked out of the, AI revolution due to cost barriers. Also, the creation of high-quality, anonymized, and consent-based public data sets is being prioritized to enable innovations while safeguarding privacy. And we are also investing in AI skilling initiative to prepare our youth for an AI-driven future, ensuring that talent is not limited to the elite institutions but emerges also from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities as well. We have AI future skilling program. We have many other programs that the government is undertaking in this regard. Another important dimension is the language inclusion. And on that we have focused very much. As you all know, we have hundreds of languages and dialects. And if AI systems do not understand our linguistic diversity, I think they cannot serve our people. So in that context, initiatives such as Bhasini are enabling speech and language technologies across Indian languages, allowing citizens to interact with digital services in their mother tongue. And friends, this is not merely about convenience. It is also about dignity, access, and empowerment. At the same time, we are also witnessing AI being deployed to solve real development challenges. How we are doing it, I think you all know precision agriculture tools. They are helping farmers optimize water and fertilizer usage, AI-assisted diagnostics, improving healthcare delivery in underserved regions. Adaptive learning platform nowadays are supporting personalized education, and intelligent traffic management system is improving the urban mobility. And each of these examples reflects an important principle, and that is AI must be built not only for efficiency, but for equity, and that is very important. However, as we move forward, another critical dimension emerges, and that is democratizing AI is not only about access. It is also about trust, and this is very crucial. People must trust that AI systems are fair, transparent, and accountable. And in this context, India's approach emphasizes responsible AI, as you all know, which includes ensuring safety, minimizing bias, protecting privacy, and aligning innovations with democratic values. And in this context, our data protection framework, emphasis on ethical AI, and multi-stakeholder consultation reflect an approach that balances innovation with safeguards. And this now brings me to another important question, ladies and gentlemen, and that is, can India offer a model to the world? And to my mind, yes, we can. Our approach, as you all know, combines open innovation with digital sovereignty. We promote open ecosystems, interoperable platforms, and global collaboration, while ensuring that the national data security, privacy, and strategic autonomy are preserved. Many developing nations are facing similar challenges: how to harness AI without becoming dependent on external technological monopolies. This is a very crucial question before them. In this context, I would say that India's experience in building scalable, inclusive, digital public goods offers a replicable pathways forward. But friends, let us also be candid with ourselves. Many challenges still remains, and we must be cognizant of those challenges. Compute costs still remain very high. High quality domain data sets are still limited. AI talent needs continuous upskilling. Startups require patient capital. Ethical governance framework must keep pace with technological evolutions. And perhaps most importantly, we must guard against algorithm biases that can reinforce social inequalities. So the question, therefore, is not whether democratization is desirable. It is, of course, but the question more important is whether we can act with urgency and with collective purpose. And I think this is very, very crucial. So friends, this responsibility to my mind does not lie with government alone. I think industry must also invest in inclusive design and responsible deployment. Academia must expand interdisciplinary AI research rooted in societal needs. Startup must innovate for Bharat, not only for global markets. Civil society must ensure accountability and ethical oversight. And international partnerships must enable equitable access to AI resources and knowledge. So let me return, ladies and gentlemen, to the question which I posed in the beginning. Who is AI for? And as I said, if AI remains concentrated in few hands, it will deepen divides. If AI becomes accessible, inclusive, and trusted, it can become the greatest force multiplier for human progress. And here, India has the opportunity to shape a new paradigm, one where AI is not an instrument of exclusion, but a platform for empowerment, not a luxury for the few, but a utility for the many, and not merely intelligent, but humane. So our task is not just to build smarter machines, it is also to build a smarter and fairer society. And if we succeed in democratizing AI, in making it accessible, inclusive, and aligned with human dignity, then, ladies and gentlemen, India will not only lead in the age of artificial intelligence, it will define what a just AI future looks like. Thank you. And I look forward to hearing the views of the other panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahaviji, for setting the strategic direction as well as mentioning about the India's AI journey so far and the way forward. Now we move on to the panel discussion. Over to you, Brad. We have to give the room at 12:25, so I'll request you to continue till 12:23, and I'll take only 2 minutes to give a vote of thanks at the last. So give it to you. Over to you, Brad.
Okay, let's go. We'll use the time as well as we possibly can. I'm Brad Staples. I'm the CEO of APCO. We're a global advisory group, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be with you, to be with the Additional Secretary in this esteemed panel. Let me go straight to the skills gap dimension here. There's no choice but to democratize in India, but a critical way of ensuring that the greater part of society benefits from the AI revolution that we're all witness to is to put in place the skills development, bridge that skills gap. So I'd like to go to Rajita Kulkarni from Sri Sri University. And Rajita, I mean, building a future-ready skills set in line with Skill India's mission of social empowerment, it's not an easy task. Can you tell us a little bit about what Sri Sri University is doing in this regard, where your focus is, and what your ambition and expectation is?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Brad, and thank you to Mahavirji for those very valuable contextual remarks, context-setting remarks. So Brad, in response to what you were mentioning, in Sri Sri University, we have two advantages. One, we owe our parentage to the International Art of Living Foundation, which is present today in 184 countries of the world. So with that, the internationality of context comes to us with the, with the nationality and the local context as well. And secondly, our founder, Puja Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, because of his international and spiritual stature, we bring, what we get is even the underlying and foundational values that go above and beyond AI. So few things that we are attempting to do, which I think are showing results and will show more results in the years to come. Number one is comprehensive AI education. So we have engineering and technology faculty, which is only an emerging sciences and emerging technologies faculty. We have about 24 programs which are all for emerging tech, AI, ML, cybersecurity, data science, and so on. And with the LEP, that enables us to make all these programs industry integrated. So we have some great partnerships, in fact, with Intel, with IBM, with Verix, with many other AI organizations for these programs. Secondly, we believe in AI for all. So the partnership I mentioned with Intel, they have in fact a foundational program, which is an AI for all program, and that, Brad, we are offering to all disciplines. So whether it's agriculture, Ayurveda, yoga, psychology, management, architecture, all of them have access to a foundational AI program. So that, I mean, I can talk more, but in the interest of time. Thirdly, research and innovation. We have a number of centers of excellence which are focused on AI. An interesting one to note here is a center of digital humanism. I'm told it's one of the first of its kind in India and the world, which to promote the idea that tech, including AI, should be developed and applied with human needs at the core of it. So that is something which we are trying to push the frontiers of. And the second is our partnership with the Institute of Absolute Intelligence, which is the foundation for artificial intelligence. Also, our incubators are focusing on AI-based startups. We have 180 startups, one with the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. So promoting AI-based startups in our incubation. And lastly, tools and platforms for inclusive. One of the topics of our discussion, and we were talking before, is how to make it inclusive. So if AI has to be democratized, it has to reach tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, it has to reach rural entrepreneurs, it has to reach women. And that is our effort through our various ground level initiatives to see how we can reach this knowledge to all these sections of society. And this is just some few initial remarks, and I can come back later in the conversation.
Wonderful, thank you, Rajita. Sandeep, let me come to you if I can. I mean, critical to the success of the deployment of AI across the country and across the economy is reaching those small and medium-sized businesses in with cost-effective technology that can be deployed rapidly and effectively. From your perspective, what are the strategies that are needed to ensure AI solutions are reaching those that are operating at that level, that they're both cost-effective and that they're part of this journey? And we were talking a little bit before about data sets and getting access to the right data sets. This is all part of securing India's future sort of data sovereignty and AI sovereignty. Talk a little about all of that, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Sandeep Saxena. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for HCL Tech, based in London for the last 23 years, moving to Mumbai in April to accelerate our Bharat journey. So thank you for inviting me. I think, and thank you for your kind words, sir. I think the objective, when we just take a step back, and we look at the larger perspective, AI is what I call as people, purpose, and planet. So when you talk about people, I think we heard some great words about, it's not just about skills, it's also about how do we deliver citizen services, right? How do we, the whole mankind, the whole humanity benefits. That's what I call people. Purpose is about growth. How do we deliver Vikshit Bharat mission, which includes overall growth, which includes not just large enterprises, a common man, anybody who works, enterprise, whatever. That's what I call as purpose. And of course, the planet, where we all live in. So, I mean, democratizing of AI, today, if you ask me, AI is at a juncture where every organization, every country is thinking about taking a step back. People are taking small baby steps here and there, trying to think, how do I use it for the goals that I talked about? I mean, governments are thinking people, enterprises are thinking growth, and everybody, obviously, planet comes in the middle. I think one of the biggest things that will happen in the coming months, if not weeks, is what we call as delivering and making what I call as AI strategy. When I call AI strategy is everything, because the moment you start adopting AI at a large scale, you have to look at things like governance. How do you secure? What are the data sets? How is the data secure? How do you govern it? How do you make it more responsible? Once you make all these frameworks put together, then you can just deliver AI for masses, because you have everything that needs to be built in the foundation itself. I think where AI will benefit immensely in our context of our country, which is so large, unique, and unique in a way because it's so diverse, both culturally as well as the economic strata of our population. Two things will be very important. One is, how do we either build, or if not build, how do we train those models to India-specific data sets? Today, most of the large LLMs are trained for Western data. So the first thing will be training those LLMs to India context, whether it is language, whether any answer that you want to get, any inferencing that you want to get. The first thing is training for India data sets, and the second is the data itself. Today, everybody has tons and tons and tons of data everywhere. But the problem is how, what is the quality of that data? And data is the biggest currency when you talk about the AI world. So imagine if I were to give you a very simple example, which I gave, and I'm going to be short. You train a child. When a child is born, you train a child. And we all train a child with, the language, English, whatever the language is. Slowly you train the child, and after a few times, the child starts to learn the language, somebody will write a poem, and then that's how the whole journey starts. Imagine you train a child with a foul language. It will be the most drastic thing that can happen to us, which we have to be very, very careful, because if AI is trained with a wrong set of data, trust me, the outcome, you will not be able to, it will be so realistic. The outcome will be so realistic. You will not be able to say this is wrong, because that's the power of technology. So to me, in terms of democratizing, data is the biggest, the local context. When I say local context, it covers everything. It covers cost, it covers affordability, it covers the Indian context, whether it is language, culture, and then the sanity of data. We have to get these two things right. That's where the power of AI. India led the digital revolution, right? I am pretty confident India will lead the AI revolution. We just do things differently, and that's what we continue to do. So thank you very much, and pass it back to you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to build on a couple of things you were just saying there. This access to the right data sets, being able to build those high-quality data sets is crucial to the goal of inclusivity and to democratize AI across the country. One person who is in the thick of doing that and grappling with it is on my right, and that's Sharith Bulusu from Google Pay. Sharith, maybe you could just say a little bit about how you're grappling with this challenge, how you're looking at voice interfaces, vernacular languages, all of these nuances and critical elements to secure an inclusive AI future for India, and how that translates then into bridging the digital divide, creating the payment infrastructure that will ensure that we bring all parts of the country into this conversation. And maybe say a word or two about how AI solves for the challenges that it creates, which we were talking about before, which was very interesting.
Thanks, Brad, and thanks to the organizers for having me here. I think of this problem as, a little bit like the Tale of Two Cities says. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. I think there's a way to look at this as this is a time of fear, and it's also a time of hope. So the fear is that people will be left behind. When UPI came along, one of the challenges that people thought that we would face is a person without a smartphone is going to be left behind. And that is true if the number of smartphones and the amount of connectivity in the country stays static. What has actually happened is that's kept growing. I mean, I'm old enough to remember a time when the way we got any kind of important news in the family was a phone call to a friend, because that was the only person who actually had a working phone line in the neighborhood, who would then relay that information to us. To a point where these are only 2 of the many phones that I carry with me, all of which are connected to the internet, all of which have all sorts of cellular connectivity. So and that's the reason why I think it's a time of hope, because I think if we approach the problem from a point of optimism, there are a number of problems that we can solve in very interesting ways. Let's take the question of financial inclusion, which Brad was asking about. I think one of the big challenges that we face, particularly in India, I think this is a global challenge, but it has a lot of specific dimensions that are crucial for India to get right, is keeping people safe when it comes to how they use money online. It's easy to fall prey to social engineering. It is easy to fall prey to hacks. And the best defense we have against it is to deploy better AI solutions that detect what's happening. One of the beautiful things about the work that we've been doing in this space is just in UPI, in a year with AI-powered warnings for people, we are able to prevent about 13,000 crores worth of fraud annually. That's about $1.5 billion. Now, it seems like a large amount, but when you consider that UPI moves more than $4.5 trillion a year, that is a small drop in the ocean. But for that one individual who's exposed to the scam, even if it's 500 rupees, that is a very significant amount. So I think deploying AI in a way that helps every single one of the people to stay safe with respect to money is something that's already happening. So I see that as a positive force that solves the problems that you could imagine would be created by social engineering. The second thing is, we were talking briefly about credit. And I know when Rajita was talking to us in the lounge before we walked in, she was talking about access to capital as one of the challenges for young entrepreneurs. One of the most beautiful things that I've had the privilege and honor of witnessing, being part of, is people being able to use the digital financial trail that they leave behind when they use protocols like UPI to get access to credit. Now, this requires building completely new models that can detect signals about creditworthiness, about the ability and willingness to repay, etc., from a data source that is not what traditionally credit models were based on. Traditional credit models were based on a very different setup. The fact that we're able to bring AI and machine learning to these types of problems and give people access to credit, help them build a new future, is what makes me hopeful that when we build AI, we'll build it for everyone to be included. And the last thing I'd say is, ultimately, like with all technology, this is going to depend on what we, as the human beings at the center of it, do. You could use engines and wheels to build a weapon of destruction. You could use it to build mass transit. You could use telecommunications to transmit information that is fake, information that is harmful. You could also use it to stay in touch with your grandma. You could also use it to communicate educational information. The things that if we look at this from a point of fear, my worry is that we'll always worry about adoption. We'll think about how to put guardrails around it and block it. But I think if we approach it from a point of optimism, we'll build it saying, hey, there's someone who needs help. The beauty of AI is that it can deliver it in any language, any modality, any time of the day. I mean, we're already seeing this with small merchants. We're able to tell them, oh, you're in Nagaland, I may not have a person on the ground there, but you know what, 24/7, 365, talk to this little software agent that will solve any problem you have about digital payments. And you could apply this to health, you could apply this to a number of different areas. So I think language is one of the areas where I'm very proud of the work that the AI community at large has done. There are languages that would otherwise go extinct that we are able to protect through translation, through creating and generating corpuses. So I think there's a lot of beautiful work that can happen here. And that's why when I go back and say that, it's an age of fear and it's an age of hope, I think we index much more heavily on the age of hope, and that is what helps us build inclusive AI and democratize it for everyone.
Thank you, Sharath. You're clearly an AI evangelist and giving us a positive, optimistic vision of the future. So thank you for that. I think we're all carried along for a moment with it. Let's try to continue this idea of leaving nobody behind. Beyond payment systems and access to credit and those critical things, there are many other communities and dimensions in terms of this country's economy and society that need to be pulled in if we're to secure a strong AI future. Let me turn to Intel to get Soma Foucan's perspective on this. Let me just ask you a little bit, Shoma, if I can. In terms of reaching across India, to leave nobody behind, we have to have access to AI computing for tier 2, tier 3 cities, to small and medium-sized businesses, to academia, to startups. How do we create that resilient ecosystem? I know that's what you're focused on.
Thanks for the question, and thanks for having me here. I consider the technology providers like Intel as the problem child of AI, because from a society perspective, from a cost perspective, from a capability perspective, that seems to be a problem. As it is, we're very focused on the translating also from the problem child to a problem solver. So when we address this accessibility question that we're talking about, right? What are the three variables that we look at? Capability, affordability, and sustainability, right? And look at the stack that we start from. It was so complex lies in the manufacturing piece of the problem. What we have done is we're laser focused to make sure that we reduce the power consumption, because that's a big piece of AI. And given the base costs that we have around 18 at software per hour, then we increase technologies that makes it lower cost, lower power consuming, and that essentially increases the efficiency of the computer that you're using for. That's the one area that we have, right? Now, if you upload this a little bit, India is a very diverse world, right? So, from a democratization perspective, we believe that it's not one size fits all. You need different platforms for the particular workflows that we're talking about. I'll give you an example of it. Secretary talked about partially. Think about the usage of partially that we're working on, where we said any classroom in the remotest part of India should be able to access the best content, the best lecture live anywhere in the world in a classroom, and it needs real-life translation. Now, if you want to address the question there, do you really need a high-end access to the GPU or the data center at the classroom? Probably not. A lot of times, this capability can just be addressed by the data generation clients or PCs that most of the classrooms are beginning to have. So we believe that when you have this conversation of democratizing AI across, you really need to look at different levels of platform, starting from the PC and hopefully some kind of phone itself, right? An edge device, then the data center, and then the data center of government GPU app. So at the system level, you start talking about compute capabilities. The same piece that you want accessibility to be working on is a function of connectivity, right? Because on one side you can say, hey, compute is great, but I can't access it, a lot of latency. So as Intel, we're also working on connectivity technologies like photonics, right? Or Compute Express to make sure we get the experience that we visualize or ask at this classroom, at the student that I just mentioned. That's number two, right? The third thing, again, I know the panels referred to is about privacy, sovereignty, what have you, right? Now, when you look at an application workload level above the system, right? You don't need every data or every query or every instruction to come back to the data center. A lot of time, the best way we can help the citizens is by making sure that they have control of their own data. So a lot of time you'll see that actually a lot of stuff can be done closer to the user. There are a lot of concepts coming up around hybrid LLMs, right? Where you do the inferencing and a partial part of the training next to the user. And then only for references you come back. Intel as a partner is working with most of the ecosystem partners going for that to be able to go and make sure that this concept of getting the LLM or getting the training, getting the inferencing close to the user is what you're focused on. So manufacturing level, system level, which is technology, workload level, which I just talked about the LLM, and last but not the least, skilling that Ms. Rajita already talked about. We are very focused on the skilling part because we believe that the farthest distance, people will be able to use it only when they're trained. And I think, hopefully some of you know, we took a pledge for 100,000 AI-trained users during this summit itself, and I think we have raised that number. So I'd also request all of you, if you have not taken it, please take the pledge, because we believe that getting us up from a skilling perspective is crucial for us to go back to our mission of democratizing and making it accessible to the citizen scales usage that India can provide.
Wonderful. Thank you, Soma, very much for that. And that vision of all classrooms across this country having access to the same lectures simultaneously, the same quality of education and insights, that really is a wonderful vision. We saved the best till last, obviously. So let me turn now to Praveen Das from Wikimedia Foundation. And let's talk a little bit about that knowledge ecosystem, if we can, and how we get to a place where open knowledge ecosystems build AI literacy in a way that helps local languages, the very many local languages and dialects across this country, develop and be secure in this AI future. So, Praveen.
I think that's an interesting question. We are living in a country where it's a country within country. There are multiple languages, and we have mostly oral scripts. And when it comes to the Indic languages and the dataset training models, the large language models which is currently trained on is mostly on the English language, and the SLMs are now getting, pretty much, there's a research is currently going on, and at this point, there is a lot of dataset models which is being used to train these, but the datasets which is there in these Indic languages are less than even 1%. So in this time where there is less datasets, but at the same time we wanted to build an AI solution, we really need to rely on open platforms, like, for an example, Wikipedia. It's a community-driven model where the content is being created by the community, verified by the community, for the community. And I believe, with the policy around content creation, it ensures that the data which comes in has verified, sources to it. And with these verified sources, we are able to build the datasets which can be trusted to train the models. Now, I think we have come really far from a problem where, which I had faced, where, my parents used to think my finger is bigger than the keyboard. And now, can I ask anything to AI? So there is a lot which needs to be done at the ground level to make sure that these information pass on to the audiences or the end users to not just use AI, but also be the contributor of the data sets as well. I remember there are multiple initiatives. For an example, Future of Commons, we were talking about it. How can we focus on a common data set which can be trustworthy? How can we align mostly with the educational institution, right? Students are the future. Can we imbibe sense of voluntarism in terms of not just donating funds, but can we talk about knowledge donations, right? And also, I would like to specifically talk about, we at the foundation, and we did a couple of interventions, like we created ChatGPT plugin just to ensure that while people use this AI model, they get a content from a trustworthy source. And we are also working with industries, and we, like Google, in terms of building not just data corpus or filling the content gap in Indic languages, but also to expand the set of communities who could contribute these data. Also, at the same time, we are in a space where we are saying, computing, we are focusing more on computing and building Indic language model, but I think it is a high time for us to focus on data commons for critically low language resources low resource languages.
Wonderful. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you all for your contributions. Thank you, Additional Secretary, for your remarks and for sharing the government's vision and ambition for an AI-driven in India. And thank you all for your leadership in your different domains. I'll hand back.
Thank you, Brad. So that was actually a good involving session, I would say. Not many things. The perspectives coming in, whether we talked about being optimistic, looking on the brighter side, which started in with the resource languages, whether we were talking about low resource languages or the content being available highly in English, but we're talking about SLMs and the data that needs to be worked out. And with, of course, then we're talking about how we are looking at India leading an AI revolution, and then, of course, the Intel covering it up. Intel, of course, covering it up with respect to the vision of having the similar lectures being available in the similar quality across all schools at the time. And of course, ma'am, your vision, which is much beyond AI. So that was good to hear, Anjita. Brad, I'd like to ask something from you. I know it's just last 5 minutes, rather 3 minutes. So, like with your global perspective, like which you come in from, like while the discussions here were more about democratizing AI in India, and you look into the role as a global person and you see it across geographies, what is your view with respect to this subject? And I'm not limiting ourselves to our India discussion, and anything which you feel from the globally which is really good, or vice versa, even from India.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting sitting here having the conversation in India, because many of the topics we've just spoken about, we could be talking about in any part of the globe. I think there are real fears and concerns that AI will disaggregate, divide, and just aggravate the wealth gap that we already have. I'm quite captured by something that Sharath said about AI resolving the problems that are being created by this transition in this moment. And I actually think that's genuinely true. I think there's a global conversation about a US hyperscaler model being imposed across the globe, and that being in contradiction with the interests of emerging nations and the well-being of populations, and somewhere at odds with inclusive growth. I don't believe that's the case. I think with an intelligent framework that the government puts in place here, and with the full participation and engagement of real insight and know-how built in the US or in other parts of the world, we will get to a better outcome for everybody. So I think there's a win-win here. It does it requires strong leadership from government. It can't be a regulation-first model, though. If we do that, we'll undermine the technology delivering the outcomes that we want. And in other parts of the world, certainly if you look at it from a European perspective, it's regulation first. And I can't see how we get the innovation, the creativity, and just the advancements that we need. So I think it's very interesting to sit here and have this conversation. I think there's a lot of global insights from India.
Yeah, so I take it like we take it more for depth and impact, which comes from India, and the scale, which of course our country gets into this. With this note, we end the panel discussion. Thank you, Mahavir for sparing time and joining us today. It was really nice to hear, of course, the strategy direction, the role which MEA and especially your division is being playing when we talk about the frontier technology. So it was really enlightening. And thank you, panelists, for being so supportive. It was nice. I enjoyed it. I'm sure the people here present as well as on the online, because we need to thank the audience across. There is live being telecasted. So thank you all for joining us today. I think the mementos are ready. Then maybe we can present it to the speakers right now. Is the mementos ready? And can I request my colleague Love? We just have a minute. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So thank you all. And with this, we present the mementos from the organizer side. I think it's a real-time photograph which has been taken. Love, can I have you here so that we can just distribute the mementos for the group photograph? Yeah, we'll come back. I think there's a need for one more group photograph. We'll step ahead.
A big round of applause, everyone, for a wonderful session. May I request ma'am to give the memento to Mahavir sir. Next, I would request to give it to Brad. Next, I request you to give it to Mr. Sandeep. May I request you to give it to Mr. Sarath? May I request you to give it to Mr. Praveen? May I request you to give it to Mr. Sommer? May I request you to give it to Mr. Rajita? Rajita ma'am. My apologies. And ma'am, thank you.
Thanks. This is me. Sandeep.
Oh, thank you.